Hey guys, today I'll be showing you how to create an automated email response to a tele form using its webhook integration in just under 7 minutes. So let's get started. First things first, let's add resend to our project, which is the service that we're going to be using to send out emails. And so to get started, we can just simply paste in our API key here, which you can get from the resend website. Now, when we create the resend module, it automatically comes with a send email function, which we're going to be using later on to actually send out our emails. So next, we're going to create the HTML templates for the emails that we want to send out whenever someone fills up our tele form. And this first one here is a response to the person who fills up the form. And the second template I'll be creating is an update to myself whenever someone fills up the form. So I already have some HTML data which I created from an earlier Zapier automation, and I'm just going to copy paste that in. So this first HTML string is for the response to the person filling up the form. I'm just going to copy that in. And this second one is a little bit different because we want to pass in some data from our form itself. And so let me just copy paste that in. And in Visual Backend, we do this with EJS to render the placeholders. And so I'm just going to create one for each piece of data that we want to pass in. And the key for each placeholder will be email, found on, and platform. And so these will be an answer to one question each in the form. And now that that's done, we can then go on to create our API. So I'm gonna create a post request to the route tele waitlist, which will be configured in the webhook endpoint for tele. And so the first thing that I need to do is bring in the data that tele actually sends. And so if we look at a test request over here, we can see that there's the data key, which then goes on to have a fields key, and this contains an array, which contains the answers to our questions in the form. And so I'm just going to extract that like so. Now in my form, I actually asked for the person's email in the first question, so I'm just going to extract that like so. And let me just change that to recipient email. And the second question asks where the person found us on, so I'm just going to take that out. And the third question is a little bit special because this is a multiple choice question, and in tele, the value inside the fields array is actually the ID of the multiple choice selected. And so I'm going to have to map that out to the actual answer. And so to do that, I'm going to first create an options object, which should map the ID of the multiple choice to the actual answer, like so. I'm going to do that for Mac and Linux, and just copy over the IDs really quickly. All right. Great. And now I'm just going to delete that. And so finally, I'm just going to take the answer to the third question, which is fields2.value, and pass that into the options object to get my answer to the platform question. All right, so now I'm going to import the HTML templates, which I created earlier on. And the first one is going to be the response to the person filling up the form. And I don't need to render any EJS in this case, so let's just delete that. And now I'm just going to simply rename these to response path, just so that it's more specific, and then change that to response template. And so the next one I'm going to import is the update to myself. And for this case, if you remember, we actually had to render EJS. So let me just change those variables to update path, change those to update template, and that to update string. And if you remember over here, we had some placeholders which we want to replace with data. So I'm just going to put in the data which we want to replace those keys with. So the first one's going to be the recipient email. The second one is found on, and lastly platform, which are our answers to the form. And now the last thing I need to do is, so let's just delete that. The last thing I need to do is import my send email function and actually send out the email. And so first I'm going to create a sender, and this is going to be the same for both emails. So I'm just going to use the Visual Backend email in this case, like so. And I'm going to pass that in. And so for the first email, which is the response email, I'm going to send that to the person who filled up the form. And so I'll put in recipient email. The subject is going to be thank you for your interest. And then I'm going to pass in the response template like so. And so I'm going to copy paste that for the second email, which will be the update to myself. I'm going to use a personal email in this case. So I'm just going to write that in. And the subject is going to be new sign up, like so. And for the HTML, it's going to be update string. Actually, let's rename that to update HTML to be more specific and pass that in. And just like that, I think everything is done. So let's just return a status code of 200 to the client, put successfully created, sent out emails, like so. And now we can get to testing this endpoint. Alright, so first let's start a server locally. And when you do that in Visual Backend, you are actually given a public-facing URL, which is done through ngrok. So I'm just going to copy that and paste that into my tele configuration over here, like so. And just to confirm, the route should be tele waitlist. That's correct. So we save the changes. And now I'm going to do a test fill up of this form. Put that email in. And then put demo for how did I hear about Visual Backend, and the platform will be Mac. And so just to confirm, there's no current email there. And if I were to submit that, you can see in the logs, we have 2 successfully sent emails for each one. If we go over to our email, you can see that we have 2 here. And this is the update email, and this is the response email. And just take note that in this case, both update and response are sent to the same email, but normally it will be sent to different ones. And so the last step is to simply deploy this and then take the public endpoint and paste that into tele. But this might take a while, so we'll come back when the deployment is done. Alright, so it's finally done, and the last thing we're going to do is just copy the endpoint like that, go to our tele webhook configuration, change the endpoint to the deployed one, and that's pretty much it. So I hope you enjoyed this little video of me implementing an email response to a tele form using the webhook integration, and yeah, thank you.